Up next on UBC, brought to you by
Keep the lights on. Use Airtel Money to pay for all your Yaka bills conveniently. Open the My Airtel app to buy Yaka units. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
Rejection can be a very daunting thing. Rejection can also be a very frightening thing in society. Now, what if I told you that you can use that same rejection to turn it into an opportunity? What if I told you that you can still use rejection to boost your self-esteem? The person I have on the show is an expert in that field. In fact, he is the author of this very book I'm having in my hands.
I lived through rejection. I lived through it from childhood, through school. In fact, I regret why 2 of my teachers died earlier. I decided to do this book so that somebody can be able to help themselves. You know, this subject of rejection also has a lot of stigma with it. There are people who do not want to come out to say, you know what, I'm going through this kind of pain.
Yes. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the best of the good life. My name is Rago. Now, rejection can be a very daunting thing. Rejection can also be a very frightening thing in society. Now, what if I told you that you can use that same rejection to turn it into an opportunity? What if I told you that you can still use rejection to boost your self-esteem? The person I have on the show is an expert in that field. In fact, he is the author of this very book I'm having in my hands. I can read to you the title. It says, Overcome Rejection. Turn your greatness dreams into reality. This man goes by the names of Dreliba Daniel. He hails from West Nile, Lugbara to be exact. He's very interesting. He has very interesting stories to share with you. And please, you know that COVID has been a nightmare for everybody. Once in a while, it's good to have such people who can talk to you about life and give you hope, perhaps tell you that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Now, this man, he's an author, a pastor, a teacher. He is also a health expert, also a coach at the same time. He is a lot of things wrapped up into one. He's right here in spirit and ready to lift you up your feet and also motivate you. So stay with us. Don't move an inch. Don't even dare touch that remote control. Chilling. We'll be right back. My name is Drago. Please stay with us.
Good evening, viewers. Daniel Delebada Tibi is my name, and I'm glad to be speaking to you this evening. I'm a high school teacher, and I've been in the teaching profession for the last 7 years. And from that, I transitioned into other areas of life. Currently, I'm a pastor at Masaka Pentecostal Church. And I've also been able to write multiple books. And but what I'm here for is to be able to speak life to everyone who is out there. As a Lugbara child, born from formerly Arua district, but now in Maracha district, I grew up in this family where our grandfather had very many wives. To be very precise, we are coming from a generation where our forefather had 13 wives, official wives, and we grew up in that kind of large home. And then when I was born, by the time I was born, my father was already, he made a choice to be a Christian, and then he chose to marry one wife, and because of that, he attracted a rejection, and he was excommunicated from the family. He was told that since he chose to follow other gods apart from our traditional gods that our forefathers worshipped, he was rejected. And we grew up in this family where we were rejected by the entire family setting, to the extent that our grandfather even decreed that anybody like that has to be, nothing should be done with him in terms of help, in terms of support of any kind. And the things I suffered are the same things that my dad suffered. And when I look at our education, things were very hard. I began, by our days, there was no UPE. Actually, UPE got me when I was in P7. We paid our own school fees in primary. And you see that it was even a struggle to pay that small school fees by then. And even when it came to secondary life, things were very hard, difficult. Looking for school fees was actually even hard. I remember times when I will spend a week at home and then 3-4 days at school and come back, and it was really hard. But still, I was able to persist. I was able to pay my own fees at some point. My dad was able to raise from whatever sources he could. And sadly, his pay was very minimal. In that, as a church leader, he's a reverend. He just retired, and by the time I was even in high school, his salary as an ordained reverend was 30,000 Ugandan shillings by then. And our school fees was 180. So you see that even paying fees was a struggle. So he will harvest food crops, and then he will carry these food crops to school to cater for our fees. And still, through it all, we were able to struggle, and we didn't have anything. I don't remember any time when my father gave me pocket money. I think the only pocket money he gave me was 5,000 shillings. That was when I was going for boarding. A-level. O-level, I was purely day. And I was riding on a bicycle, which story is in the book. I was riding through to school 6 kilometers to and fro on a bicycle. When it came to my journey for relationships, things were really very difficult. First of all, no one wants to associate with anyone who is broke, who is kind of poor. You remember we were coming from a background where it was even hard to afford clothing, it was hard to afford good meals. We were having 1 meal a day, and preferably the meal was served at around 5, 6. And we even had times where we didn't even have the food, but we would make porridge of cassava.
Wow.
For survival.
Wow, keep going.
And as time went on, you see that things were really that difficult. Our weights were, even when we look at me now and they have a flashback 30 years ago, they say a huge difference. Why? We will only put on weight when it was the season of mangoes. That is where we will eat mangoes from the bush and all that. Other times, it was hard to eat even in that whole large family. There were times even when we were eating, my hands will be held. They will hold my hand. You know, for us, look, but as we eat in a common pool.
Yes.
So even when we sit with our cousins like this, there were moments when my hands will be held so that I don't eat at the same pace with my siblings of my other cousins. So it was that very difficult time.
Let me ask you, because it was the very first question when you approached me about this interview. The very first question I was going to ask you is that, how do you relate with rejection? Why do you pick an interest in rejection? But now I've had it. I've had it. Your childhood wasn't that rosy, was it?
No, not at all. That's why I lived through rejection. I lived through it from childhood, through school. In fact, I regret why 2 of my teachers died earlier, because my prayer always was, let them not die, to live, to see what is coming out of me. Because from P3, P4, P5, P6, many teachers didn't even believe in me. My own students in my own class, they didn't even believe in me. Teachers will say, you will never do anything, you will never amount to anything, because first of all, you were among the rejected community, no one cares about. In fact, if you look at my uniforms by then, there was even a time I was in P4 and I was pulled out to be ashamed in front of the whole school during assembly time, because my uniform was really that bad. You know, so it was a bad experience. I lived through rejections. When it came to girls, it was something else.
What? Tell me about that. I like girl stories.
You know, even when I thought I was good enough to marry, it was hard. Many girls will look at me, and others who were gracious enough to me will tell me, they will give me their reasons. In fact, some of the reasons is what I actually put in the book. And then others will they will just give me this kind of look and wonder what you're up to. Others were gracious enough to say, I will give you answer, but till tomorrow, no answer.
Daniel,
You know.
tell me, you have a lot under your belt.
Too much.
You are a mental health
Activist
and coach.
Yes.
You are a teacher.
Yeah.
You are a pastor.
Yeah.
You are
An author.
an author.
Yes.
How do you find a balance?
Well, you realize that almost all of it is tied in one thing.
Yes.
Because my hope is to see everyone succeed in life. My hope is to see that everyone is able to live their dreams and fulfill them. Even my pastoral ministry is veered towards that. Because my call is that God has called each one of us to live a certain life. God has a plan and a purpose for each one of us. But many times those plans are not lived. Why? Because of the pains of rejections, because of the feelings of being abandoned. You know what happens with the rejection is rejection affects the way we think and feel. And the feelings, the painful feelings you have will take you to a place of making a choice. And in most cases, people then make wrong choices. So that's when I'm like, you know what, let me be an activist. Let me be somebody who can be able to work for this. Let me be a mental health activist, because mental health is something that many people are struggling with right now. I've lost many of my good friends to suicide. I've lost many of my friends to depression. Many of my friends are into drugs. Many of my friends are right now in prison for different crimes. Something that if only they had talked to somebody, if only maybe somebody spoke to them. And the other saddest bit in my culture, in Arua, is that when somebody commits suicide, we cane the dead body. And then I'm asking myself, why will people continue caning dead bodies? Why can't they instead speak to the people who are actually alive? So that's when I said, you know what?
It's seen as a disgrace, even in Islam.
Yeah, it is a disgrace. So I'm like, no, instead of caning a dead body, let me be able to speak.
At what point, Daniel, in your life did you make that turn, that significant turn? Tell me, do you have any part of your life that has some vices? Like, did you do drugs? Did you do any, any of those bad things?
Yeah. Actually, there are things that people are surprised that I did and they actually didn't know. You know, like I told you, I grew up in this Christian family. But then I had actually even started drugs. But one thing that helped me was friends. Some people talked to me, you know. Time even came, I had even joined the wrong groups. I'm somebody who loves music. When I came to Kampala, I can play any guitar you give me and you will wonder whether that is a guitar talking. I can make the guitar talk. But then at some point, just to get validations, I had joined wrong groups where we began playing in weird places, you know. And at some point, some friends came to me and said, you know what, Daniel, I think your life is much better somewhere. I had even stopped my profession of teaching. I stopped teaching. I thought maybe this is the ideal life to live. I went into music. But which music was I doing? I was always at the backstage playing for different musicians.
You emphasizing the point of rejection.
Yeah.
You know that during this COVID time, a lot of things have failed.
True.
People have lost businesses.
Yeah.
People have lost
Dear ones.
People have become sick. People are depressed. The situation alone is just sad. So it's important for you to be part of this show. That's why I picked an interest in you. And you have a book.
Yeah.
You published a book. This is Overcome Rejection. Now, Overcome Rejection, in case you haven't gotten yourself a copy, it's what we are going to be discussing mostly about on this other part. So don't go anywhere. Stay with us, please. This is Chilling, and Daniel is still in the building. And welcome back to Chilling, the best of the good life, one of the most interesting programs on Sunday. Now, forget the other programs on the other TVs. Please come always chill with us. Now, today, I decided to sit down with, he's not so old, he's not also too young, a quite charming and interesting gentleman, author of this book, Overcome Rejection. He says that you can turn your greatest dreams into reality. Mr. Daniel Drileba, a man from the West Nile, Lugbara to be exact. This guy has written everything in this book that is going to unlock that rejection in you. It's going to unlock your life and make it turn around. Now he's here to talk more about his book, and I'm pretty excited. We had an interesting first part where he talked more about his life and how he relates to this very topic. Now, Daniel.
Yes, sir.
Walk with me. Let's analyze this book. You understand that most of the Ugandans don't want to read material. Why do you push out a self-taught book like this?
I decided to do this book so that somebody can be able to help themselves. You know, this subject of rejection also has a lot of stigma with it. There are people who do not want to come out and say, you know what, I'm going through this kind of pain.
Yes.
But then this book is a self-help book, so that somebody can read it in their book, in their house, and they can be able to be with their book in the room. And I've spoken a lot of things here in this book. Why? Because in this journey of life, you are not alone, I'm not alone.
Yes.
We go through life together. But then you see that abandonments, the harassments, the isolation from others, the unfair treatment, you know, from home, place of work, relationships and marriage and so on, for various reasons, bring people to a state of the pains of being not wanted.
What can I expect reading this book? Do you have your own testimonials in this book, your own experience?
It is entirely my experience.
Abandonment, insult, abuses, false accusation, starvation, corporal punishment, harassment, isolation, and to mention but a few. These are major problems we're having in society.
True.
Why do you talk about this?
Because I lived it myself. First of all, I taught for many years in Masaka. Even when I was in Masaka and I was in a place of leadership, I experienced the rejection from the community, to the extent that even some of the staff mobilized the students to riot, to cause a strike in the school because they didn't like me. I've been there. If somebody is struggling at a place of work because of rejection, maybe because of their tribe, maybe because of their stature, maybe because of whatever it is, they are not alone. I have lived there myself. I didn't commit suicide. I didn't resign. But right now, many people are actually resigning from work because of such pressures at work. When it comes to abandonments from family, I've already shared. When it comes to the relationships, 8 heartbreaks is not a joke. There are those who just have one heartbreak and they gave up on life. They are now surviving.
Can somebody, Daniel? Yes. Daniel, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Can somebody use rejection and turn it into something positive?
Very much. That's why I used my pain of rejection right now as a strength to be able to help others. Because like I was telling you, there are so many who have committed suicide. And there are those who wanted to commit suicide, but because I was able to share my experience with them, they gave up on suicide.
I'm going to ask the producer to give us one of your teaching guides.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Let me hold this. Let me try to place it here aside, because he has been kind enough to give me a copy. Thank you, boss.
You see, all of us, we go through this life.
Okay.
This journey of life is a journey which is not straight.
That's me in a diaper right there with my sister.
Too. And actually, I tell people that when I was at this age, if I had the one top, I didn't have the one down. If I had the one down, I didn't have sometimes even the one up. And there are times I didn't have both, and life moved. Okay. But anyway, journey is not a straight path.
Yes.
It has very many turns. And as you can see here, the farther you go, or the farther you see, the narrower the road appears. Yeah. But then what happens is when the rejection hits, this is where we get to. This pain of rejection pushes us to this place of imprisonment. In fact, right now, so many people are self-imprisoned. That's why I was able to now come up with this book, to be able to deliver these ones who are self-imprisoned to get out of their prison cells. Wow. So many people who have been rejected maybe once or twice or whichever number, in either place of work or in their relationship or in their family or even in their marriage. Many of them have isolated themselves. They're in a place of a cage. They have self-imprisoned themselves in that Number one, they
This one
don't
looks
eat well.
malnourished.
Very, they don't eat well. Physically, they're in self-imprisonment. They don't eat well.
They're depressed, they're
They're
stressed.
depressed, they're stressed, they're here. They have cut themselves from friends. They no longer have friends. From work, they're in their rooms. From their rooms, they're back to work.
And then this one looks like he's in a happy place.
What happens is this. This is what we see. Okay? This is what we see, but actually, ideally, inside, this is the person we have. That explains why you see somebody who has been very prominent, who is doing everything you think they are doing well here, but actually inside you see what they do.
Tell me about this, Daniel.
What happens here is when you get to this place,
You're stuck between a
journey-
rock and
Yeah.
a tough place.
you have this rock and this tough place which have this.
I'm seeing a leopard, a
There's
lion,
leopard,
and
there's a
snake.
lion, there's a snake.
Ooh, I've
And what happens here? Confusion. What happens here? This is where many people end up with the suicide because they don't see any hope. They don't see any way out here. So they think of suicide. If they miss suicide, then they will begin to get into some form of exit plan, you know. And the exit plan is a wrong one. They either end up becoming serial humanizers. They will tell you that they will not marry, but they are ready to have girls around them every time. They become serial, daily and deadly drinking officers. Okay? They end up with the drugs of all kinds. They end up in the streets. Actually, right now in Kampala, we have so many street adults and street children. Why? They have no place of belonging. They have nowhere they can actually be. So they end up in the streets.
They find an escape plan.
They have but which escape plan only leads us to death?
Wow.
But why am I here today? Why I wrote that book is to let everyone know that there is still hope. The same place where somebody was between a hard rock and a difficult place, hope is still here. Help is available. You know, just opening up to somebody, talking to somebody brings help. But many times people have been imprisoned. They no longer have friends. They no longer talk to people. They even no longer move out. They no longer want to go and chill. Why? They don't see any reason for chilling.
You always find a reason to chill.
Yes.
You always find a reason to chill. Yes.
They'd gone out to chill,
Yes.
they will have gotten into networks that can actually help them to move from where they are to where they're supposed to be.
Daniel, what do you tell this person that is actually facing rejection everywhere they go? They feel like they are the black sheep of every situation.
I've been there. In our place, we say, if you are hated in the community, you will even be accused of raising dust when you accidentally step in a pool of water. Okay? You become the black sheep, you know. Everything is falling apart, but still there is a hope. You can still overcome that rejection and turn your dreams into reality.
Daniel, tell me one thing before I ask how people are going to get in touch with this book and your work and also contact you personally for any advice.
Yeah.
What is your target with this? Do you just want to, because some people might do it for money reasons, financial
No.
status,
If it
others
was for
might
money.
do it for just show off, but what is your purpose with this?
My purpose is not about money. In fact, the places I've walked, I've moved to places, I've been to deepest villages. There are villages in Uganda I have moved telling them there is still hope, don't give up on life. You know, what excites me most is seeing people's dreams accomplished. Seeing somebody whose life transformed. For me, that gives me the greatest motivation.
Daniel, let's do this. So we asked the producer once again to bring your bag. I heard that you brought me a shirt.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Let me see that. Let me see that as we try to wind up. Okay. This is it.
Yeah. This is it.
Did you get my size right?
I hope so.
You hope so. I would have tried to fit in. I see it's extra large. This could be my size.
Because my target is for every one of us. There are people who actually right now in beds. They don't see why they should move out of their houses because of the pains of rejection they've been through, because of the things they've been through. There are people who are finding it very hard to leave drugs because they think that is the end of their life. No. Whoever is still on the drugs, whoever is still living in any kind of life, you can still turn your dreams. If I made it, you can still make your dreams come to pass.
Yeah, I didn't want to put on this shirt in the first place before the show because I wanted to hear you. Yeah. I wanted to feel you. I wanted to believe in whatever you're trying to sell or whatever you're trying to pass out there. Yeah. That's why I didn't put it on in the first place. But trust me, I'm going to be putting it on, and I will advocate for overcome rejection. Yes. So if there are any questions asked, how can people get in touch first with this amazing book? How can they get a copy and at how much? And also, how can they contact you personally if they want any advice or they want to feel uplifted?
All right. These books are available at Uganda Bookshop. It is available.
Where is that, Uganda Bookshop?
Uganda Bookshop is just here downtown.
Yeah.
You can also get yourself a copy from Wandagea, Enjoy Bookshop. You can also get a copy from Jumia online. Oh, you can also get it on Amazon. Okay. You can also get a copy from Angelina Bookshop. Yes. You can even as well contact me. And for those who are in Arua, you can go to SU office in Arua and you get yourself a copy as well.
Overcome rejection, he says. Wow, it has been a pleasure. So your number comes in now. My
number is +256 774 805028. I repeat, +256 774 805028.
Daniel, thank you very much for everything, and thank you for teaching my people, because these are tough times. Yeah. COVID ruined everything. It turned the world upside down. True. Daniel, we need such people like you to come once in a while, give people hope, remind them that life is still vital.
We can still we will go through this together.
Yes.
And together we can make it.
Kari.
And also to remind you, one thing that pushes me further,
yes,
I'm a Liverpool fan. You will never walk alone.
Daniel, this is where I put everything down and I say we are parting ways. It's your show. I'm joking.
What happens is this.
Yes.
Our song, our anthem, yes, gives me hope every day.
Yes.
When you walk through a storm,
yes,
hold your head on high.
Yes.
Never give up. Because at the end of the day, light will still come through. Through rain, through wind, just keep walking. You will never, ever walk alone. Okay. Hope with your hope high. Just believe in yourself. Keep believing in yourself. Whatever happened to you, let it be first half. Come back for second half and win the game.
Okay, you're saying that Liverpool has never lost any match, okay?
No, Liverpool has never been losing. Liverpool lost 3-0 to Barcelona, but at Anfield it was 4-0. What was the motivation? That all attitude of you never walk alone. Champions League 2005 finals. Okay. First half was 3-0, but Liverpool came back with the trophy. What am I saying? Whatever has happened to you in the past, let it be ending today. It was in the past. From today, make up your mind.
What I love most is like you're using football as an example. Well. Everything was cool, but everything turned wrong when he said, "I'm a Liverpool fan." Yeah. Definitely, you never walk alone. Daniel, we call it a wrap. Let's go and we get our rivalry on, right, because I think next week I have a fixture with you. Right. So game on, right, game on. Bye guys and have a good evening. Take care. Take care. Bye.